Here we go, Diemval. D4. D4 and C4, not a London system. Get the Nimzo. And he counterpins. So it didn't defend this pawn. This is not needed, although he can play E4 immediately, huh? We'll see if he does that. Ah, he chose to defend there. Okay. Okay, now there is no E4. Let's see if I, yeah, let's push this pawn here. Just thinking I'm putting the knight here, but I'm a little bit leery of the double pawn push, so put this pawn here to stop it. Let's get castled. Okay, let's kick this bishop now that he's pointed at this square. And let's see, I could bring the knight here and then move my queen to unpin. Let's see, if I unpin now, takes here, I take, he takes, I take, takes my bishop, I take back with check. I can always take the knight with check and then deal with this over here. So he moved the queen. Curious. So I guess I will bring my knight here then to be able to take back. And that means I will fianchetto this bishop because my knight is blocking it. I worry about my queen getting trapped over here. There is a loose pawn on d6 that maybe he can exploit in some way. Retreating the bishop, for example. Well, at least I got him to use up some time on the clock. Yep, there we go with the bishop development. So all my pieces are out, the rooks are connected. I'm thinking of swinging the queen over here and then taking here, which would win me a, yeah, so he does that. Very logical. Now if I if I push the e pawn here, I have enough force there to support that. Right, he takes, I take, he takes, I take, he takes, I take. But he might, instead of taking, just push. Well, then I could put my queen or my knight here. Pushing, you know, makes this bishop look kind of useless, so. This might not be the right answer. Yeah, he did that. Okay, so if I step up with my knight here, threatens this fork. If I push right away, bishop takes, knight takes. Yeah, take the bishop and push the pawn. Yeah, so he moves the bishop. Let's go ahead and get this bishop to a more useful square. Okay, so I think that solves most of my development problems, except maybe the queen. Hitting this pawn. And maybe threatening on c3 too. So he defends. What shall I do? What's the best way to get my queen back in the game? Push. If he pushes, I take, so he will take, I guess. Or he could wait for me to take and then take back with the knight. That's probably pretty good. Hits this pawn. But there will be a weakness here I'll try and exploit. Now, can I do this? Maybe I can just take this pawn. He takes back, I take his queen. Could have taken with the knight too. So pawn up, he takes, I take with the knight. Oh, he takes, I take the queen. He pushes, I take the pawn. So he defends the queen, but still, if I push this pawn, if he pushes, I can still take. If he takes, I can still take the queen because it'll win a rook. With the queens off, it won't matter that he disables or messes up my pawn structure here by taking here. I have to take back with the pawn now, but I'll take the queen first. So yeah, he trades queens. I could take here first and then take here with the knight. Keep my good pawn structure as well as being 2 pawns up. Okay, if I push there, he will blockade there. So I wonder, maybe I'll just push here. Push. He takes, I push again. He comes over to put the rook behind it. I just hate to push that pawn. Can push this pawn. He can put his rook behind it. I should activate my rook, huh? Okay, we'll push there once, just so it's out of trouble, and then I will bring my rook over to this side. It's not such an easy endgame to win, it looks like. Trying to take this pawn so I can get a passer. So he defends, and I attack the knight. Get out of trouble with my rook there. He comes forward with the king. Interesting. Okay, let's bring my king out too. Being low on time is hard too. I have a check over here. Oh no, I can step up. The knight was not blocking my escape. I was worried about that for a moment. Okay, so let's take here. Let's take here. Attack the knight, I mean. Push the pawn. So he goes there. Let's see, I can go here. Let's go there. Threatening to queen. But you know, the danger is, see, I have the check here. Shoot. I'm running out of time. Running out of time. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. That was frustrating. Let's see if we can get another game here. Play a rapid game this time. PUK, Pookie 77. Oh, plays a Benoni. plays the Czech Benoni. Okay. Now, how do I want my setup here? He has the idea of pushing this pawn later to break up, or pushing this pawn to break things up. I could fianchetto play this pawn up and this pawn up. I think that's playable here. So I get in the break first. Yeah, I'm just going to defend on this side. Now, where do I want this to go? I guess it can go here. That seems like a valid place for it. Means his knight can hop in here. Oh, he puts the bishop there. Interesting. I'm going to get castled next. I see. I never defended. Oh, when I played the knight here, then this pawn became undefended. Let's see. He can now go here, 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 or here. Or he can defend it. Well, I can take. Taking back is a little bit of trouble because he takes, I take with the knight. The bishop will probably trade for this knight, and then his knight can hop in here, which would be kind of annoying. Annoying piece to have to live with. So I don't know if I should really grab that pawn. I'm thinking maybe after he takes back, I'll kick his bishop and force the bishop to take this knight instead. Oh, he just gives up the pawn. Still think kicking the bishop is a good idea. This is protected. This is protected. I did that. He went there anyway. Let's see. He doesn't have a light squared bishop to protect this square, so that pawn is not going anywhere. Let's go ahead and castle. Okay. Let's round up this pawn then. If I take, he takes back, and then I come and threaten this pawn. He puts the bishop there, yeah, where the knight is. But now I just get to take this pawn. Okay, that's interesting. So when I move my queen, there's a discovered attack on the rook. Pretty clever here. How do I fix this? Move the rook, I guess. And we'll see what he does with his discovered attack. He can go here, he can take the bishop, he can go here, he can take the pawn. But when he takes anything, I can take back with the queen. can go back here, here, or here. Yeah, I just bring my king up to defend that pawn. So what did we end up with? It's even pawns after all of that. Let's see if I can go after his weak pawns. Yeah, we will keep control of the E file here. Okay. Not sure where that is going. Oh, I know. He's trying to get an entry point for his rook here. I'm going to just win this pawn, I think. He's removed the pawn cover. Ah, okay. He defends there with the rook. He did remove the pawn cover around my king. Now my rook can maneuver. And he's tied down to the defense of this pawn. Ah, he decides the better part of valor is to give up the pawn. Maybe he's going for this pawn. Okay, so what now? If I do this, he'll trade and then take this pawn, so I don't want to do that. Unless let's push this. I have an idea here. I just need to get my king out of the way of this check when he takes this pawn. My idea is that I can start checking his king. Yeah, so he wants to come in on the light squares. Yeah, let's put my bishop here. Maybe I could start this pawn going. I do have a passed pawn. He can put his queen here. So he decides to trade. Trade. Well, I'm not sure what that is. Is he going to trade? Let's unpin anyway and find out. If I go there, he will put his queen here and then get to this square here, which will be good for him. Okay, so what to do? I attack his... I attack the bishop, but his queen covers this square, and I need to keep my bishop protected. If I go here, he takes the bishop, I take back. He takes the queen, I take back. The queen goes for this maneuver, then I'll just take his bishop. So he doesn't. Defending my pawn. If he just trades everything off, I have the slightly better endgame here. This is the one pawn holding back two pawns that Capablanca liked to talk about, and this is a passed pawn. So I think by the principle of two weaknesses, I should be able to win that endgame. Not saying I can, but good chances. So he goes there with check. I take on passant, he will take. And I take his queen. So I guess he's dissolving one of his weaknesses before he goes into the endgame, I guess. So if he grabs the pawn, I'll take the queen. So he has to take the queen first, I guess. Then he can grab the pawn. But this gives him a passed pawn as well. My passed pawn is protected, but it's slightly better. Look at that, he's finding moves. How dare he? How dare he? Let's attack that bishop. Oh, I can't go there because that's a pawn. It covers that square. See, I could go here. Does he have another check? Just trying to avoid further checks. So yeah, he wasn't content with the draw. He wanted to go for the win, but I'm not sure about this. I guess he can take this. I'll take that. Just allowed me to simplify things a bit. I don't really think I have any chance of winning this anymore since he found that clever way to dissolve his weakness. Have to keep my queen defended. I don't think he has any way to win either. He will win this pawn. He will have a passed pawn, and I will have a passed pawn, but he can't get too far with this pawn or I will push this one. So and then my passed pawn is not an outside passed pawn. So I can push it, distract his king, take this pawn, but what else can I do? Yeah, looks like he's going for the draw. Yeah, it looks like he's stopping to think about it. Yeah, and then going for the draw. Is that the plan here, sir? Yep, that was it. Okay, yeah, that was an interesting game. It was tough, but he's a stronger player than me, and he did a good job. Hard to win those kind of games, even though I had white, so I should have been. And I was going for the win, but towards the end, the draw was the best I could hope for, I think. After, I still had chances, I felt, until he played this move, that en passant move. That gives him a pass point if I don't take it. And when I do take it, as we saw in the game, you know, he can win this pawn at any time, and then it'll be 3 pawns against 3. We both have passed pawns. And he did the repetition with the queen rather than playing out that endgame. It might be still slightly better for me because my passed pawn is protected, but he had the outside passed pawn, so that's right. When he distracts my king, he's never able to take this pawn, so it was a slightly better endgame for me, but not enough to win. Anyway, thanks everybody, and I'll see you next time. Bye now.